Hi, and welcome to another episode of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Kevin the Dad,
And I'm Juliet the daughter.
and for this episode, we will be doing Let's Dance by David Bowie. And Juliet is like a hardcore Bowie fan, so I'm going to turn this over to her.
Alright, so bit of background information on David Bowie. He was born David Jones on January 8th, 1947, and when he got into show business, he had to change his last name to Bowie because David Jones of the Monkees was already famous. His first hit single was in 1969 with Space Oddity. Then he did 2 albums after that with The Man Who Sold the World and Hunky Dory, but those didn't really take off. The one album that really did take off was, of course, Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. It gave birth to glam rock, which John Lennon liked to describe as rock and roll but just with lipstick on, which Bowie himself thought was hilarious. Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars consisted of David Bowie, Mick Ronson as lead guitar player, Trevor Bolder as the bass player, and Woody Woodmansey as the drummer. The band lasted for a few years, but then David Bowie decided that he wanted to do something different, and when the band broke up, he kind of dropped the bomb on all the band members during a concert one night, saying that this is the last show we'll ever do, and all the band members were like, wait, what? And so then after that, Bowie created a new character, the Thin White Duke, and that was one of his darker personas that he created because at that time he was becoming more and more addicted to cocaine. There's even a story about how at one point his diet just consisted of crack cocaine and milk because he was skeletally thin for like a long, long time. So to kind of help kick his drug addiction, he and Iggy Pop went to Berlin, where Bowie made the Berlin Trilogy, which is the 3 albums, Low, Heroes, and Lodger, then came back to the United States, did some more rock and roll albums, including Let's Dance. He also did some movies with an acting career. He did The Man Who Fell to Earth, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, The Hunger, Labyrinth, later on, The Prestige, just to name a few of the acting credits that he's done. He's been in a lot of films, American and British. And the last album that he ever did was Black Star, which came out in 2016. It was the last album he ever did. Lazarus was the last music video he released before he died. It was his way of saying goodbye to the world. He had stage 4 lung cancer and he wanted to keep it as private for as long as he could. In regards to his personal life, he was married twice, once to Angie Jones. They had a son, Zoe, who later renamed himself Duncan. And they divorced because they were both, cheating on each other willy-nilly, free love stuff. Then he married the supermodel Iman, and they had a daughter, Alexandria Zara Jones. And, that's just all the stuff I came up with off the top of my head as a hardcore Bowie fan.
That's impressive. Okay, so I have to ask, what's the obsession?
When David Bowie died, I hadn't really listened to a lot of him. I don't remember hearing him a lot in your car growing up. But I remember, and I remember going online on my Facebook account, and so many people were expressing such sadness. And I was like, wow, what am I missing out on? It's like, why are people so upset about this one rock and roll artist? Like, I remember, when he died, it was just everywhere. So then I didn't think anything of it, but I kid you not, this is what happened. I had a dream that I met David Bowie, and then I woke up, and I was like, okay, if I'm meeting a guy whose music I've never listened to in my dreams, I might want to do some research on this dude. So then I found some interviews with him online, and I liked the way he talked. I thought that he was very prolific and polite and charming. And then I listened to his music, and I could not get enough of it. And, just his whole career about, being true to yourself, not staying in one mold. It was just a message that really resonated with me and my friends, and I just wanted to listen to everything I could. That way I could eat it up, and I am now a hardcore David Bowie fan for life.
Okay, me, not so much. I like the guy. My history with Bowie started back in 1974 when I was 11 years old. And
really?
The song Fame came out. I mean, it was
John, yeah.
huge. And, being an 11-year-old kid, my favorite part was the voices going from fame, 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 that whole thing.
Yeah, going down the stairs.
Yeah. After that, I think I heard probably maybe Golden Years on Top 40 radio. And then after that, his stuff was hard to find on the radio unless it was college radio, where I'd hear, stuff from, we call a Berlin Trilogy, I call the Eno years, Brian Eno.
That makes sense, yeah.
And I gotta say, the first Bowie album I ever bought was Let's Dance. However,
Uh-oh.
in 1985, I was working at a safety shop as a shipper and receiver, and this kid that I worked with at the time, he worked there part time. He would come after high school. His name was David Cobb. Hi, Dave, if you're out there. And he was just like a hardcore Bowie fan. He bought in every single Bowie thing he ever had on cassette, because it was the 80s, and we listened to everything. And I'm talking about from the very beginning.
Like Laughing Gnome?
Like the Laughing Gnome,
Ooh.
When I'm Five Bowie, all the way up to Never Let Me Down in 1987, because I left the company in 1988. So I definitely got my musical education that way. And believe it or not, I only own 3 of his albums.
Yep.
Ziggy Stardust from the glam years, Heroes from the Eno years, and Let's Dance from the, I guess, mega popular phase.
From the Nile Rodgers producing.
Yeah, he did a
time.
couple.
Yeah.
And I just also have
Singles collection.
yeah, when Ryko Disc got the rights to his catalog, they put out a 2-disc set called The Singles. It goes from 1969 to 1993. I don't think it's ever been topped yet as a best of compilation.
Yeah. The only things from Bowie that I own personally that I either got for my birthday or bought with or had mom buy for me because I didn't have a job back then was the single Little Wonder, because I love it. And, you know, when Black Star came out, I felt like I owed it to Bowie to buy his last album because, you know, he was saying goodbye. And it was the last CD left at the store that mom and I were at. And I was like, you know what, this is a sign I need to buy this. All right. Let's get into some facts about Let's Dance, the album itself. So Let's Dance is David Bowie's 15th studio album and was released in April of 1983 under EMI Records. This was when Bowie was kind of taking a bit of a break from RCA. It is Bowie's best-selling album, selling over 10.7 million copies worldwide. It was nominated for Album of the Year at the Grammys in 1984, but it lost out to Michael Jackson's Thriller. It was a commercial and critical success. Let's Dance, I mean, Thriller was its own success in its own right, but this is the album we're talking about. And Let's Dance's popularity has only continued to increase. Now, a bit of background information as to how this album was made. So in an interview with Bowie that I found on the YouTube series Bowie TV, Bowie said that he was inspired to make this album while he was filming Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence in the South Pacific. So he brought some R&B tapes of his to listen to when he wasn't doing anything on set and having a break. And while listening to the tapes, in his words, he realized he hadn't really made an album that you could call quote-unquote modern. And he also wanted to make an album that sounded like the R&B artists that inspired him to make music in the first place. Some of those artists include Elmore James, Albert King, Stan Kenton, Red Prysock, and Alan Freed Big Band. Now, according to Nile Rodgers, who produced this album, Bowie wanted Rodgers to produce the album specifically to create hit singles. And there's also a story of Bowie meeting Rodgers at Rodgers' apartment, and Bowie had a photo of Little Richard with him in a bright red suit and a bright red Cadillac, and he said, "Niles, darling, this is what I want the album to sound like." And he also wanted the album to be, quote, commercially buoyant and, quote, party funk meets big bass drums sound greater than the sum of its differences. So Bowie spent 3 days making demos for this album, which apparently was unusual for him because he liked to start with as little ideas as possible. And according to Rodgers, the album was recorded and mixed in 17 days. Now, another fact about this album. So Bowie's previous producer was Tony Visconti, who was his solo album producer from 1969 to 1980. Now, it was already determined that Visconti was going to be the guy to produce Let's Dance. So he called Bowie's agent to find out, when are they going to start recording in the studio. And the secretary had to awkwardly inform him that Bowie had already hired another producer, and the two of them had been working on the album for 2 weeks already.
He's not good with confrontation.
No, he's not. When he does apologize, he apologizes after the fact, but I guess people respect him enough as a musician to be like, all right, I forgive you.
That's just Dave being Dave.
Dave being Dave, yeah. That was also a story with Woody Woodmansey, where after the Spiders from Mars broke up, Bowie had a meeting with him years later, and he said, "Listen, Niles, I'm really sorry about what happened. I wasn't in the best state of mind, and Tony DeFries was an asshole, and I'm really, really sorry." And he's like, I forgive you. It's years ago. It's okay. So, yeah, the new producer was Nile Rodgers, and you may know him as the producer from the disco group Chic, and you know their big song, The Freak. And so, unsurprisingly, this damaged Visconti and Bowie's relationship for a long time, 20 years to be precise.
Wow.
It was a long time before they would ever work together again. All right, do you want to get into this song by song, or do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just like I know when Let's Dance came out back in '83. Yeah, it was hugely commercial, like you said. I mean, sold just like millions and millions, and Bowie was everywhere. He was like ruling MTV. He had just so many videos, and he was actually in this coffee commercial.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't know about this.
Well, it was weird. It was just him on stage, like I guess filmed at one of his concerts, just singing. I don't know how the time was in with coffee came about, but the song playing for the commercial was "Hold On Tight" by the Electric Light Orchestra. Hold on tight to your coffee dreams or something. It was just, hey, it was the '80s.
Yeah, that sounds very, very.
Everyone
80s.
was coked up. Who knows?
Oh my god.
One thing I want to say about Let's Dance is the presence of Stevie Ray Vaughan, who played lead guitar, and this was like his big break, and David Bowie said to Stevie Ray Vaughan, "Hey, I want you to go on tour with me." And Stevie Ray Vaughan said, "Hey, I want to get paid." And Bowie said,
Not that much.
And so Stevie Ray said, "Hey, I'll see you later." And he signed with Epic, and the rest is history. He became like, one of the great guitarists ever. And that's
it?
That's it. That's
All
where I'm
right.
coming from.
Okay, let's go through this song by song.
Yes, let's.
All right, so just to give an idea, I've only heard a couple of these songs on their own. China Girl, Let's Dance, and Criminal World were the only songs I'd ever listened to before I listened to the full album. China Girl and Let's Dance I found on my own. Criminal World, I remember you playing in your car. All right, Modern Love. I was very surprised that Let's Dance was not the title track, but the opening guitar does hook you in instantly. I don't know if it was distorted in the studio or something, but I really dig the sound. The chorus is insanely catchy, and I didn't understand the lyrics at first, but I think I do. Bowie's lyrics, they always make you think, and you really have to sit on them and let them ruminate. And I think it was this guy doesn't want anything to do with modern love, and he's gonna run away from it as fast as he can. And I also love the "Get Me to the Church on Time" lyric because, hey, I'm a theater person, I appreciate a My Fair Lady reference. And when he sings about "Get Me to the Church on Time," church on time, da-da-da-da, I thought, you know what, he may as well be describing Alfred P. Doolittle, a guy who can't believe he's about to get married, so hey, let's party. Yeah, pretty strong opener. What are your thoughts on this?
That's interesting. I never thought of that from a My Fair Lady perspective before. But yeah, when Let's Dance came out, the album, the first single was Let's Dance, and I just assumed that would open the album also. But like you said, you hear the opening to Modern Love, and it makes total sense that, this is the perfect opening to an album. You've put in a lot more thought to what the lyrics mean than I have. I mean, with me and Bowie's lyrics, I read them and I think he's just putting us all on sometimes.
I disagree. To quote another YouTuber who I'm not going to name drop, but is one of our favorites, listen, the dude was prolific. They can't all be Ziggy Stardust. I don't know. He was a creative guy who didn't want to stay in one mold, and he liked to explore as many things as possible and learn about as many things.
Oh yeah, it's fine. I don't blame him for that. I mean, he was definitely a chameleon. You never knew what he was going to turn into next. But I think the thing is, to me, his lyrics have always been a bit obtuse.
Yeah, but I think they're obtuse on purpose. It's like maybe all of his ideas can't be as concrete as he would like them to be in music, but he's going to try to express them the best that he can.
Okay.
All right. China Girl. Now, the only versions of this song I had listened to before were, one, the Iggy Pop version.
Which is the original.
Yeah, for his album The Idiot, and the version of this from the David Bowie Singles Collection. So I think that the Iggy Pop version is very bare bones compared to this one, and I think we can thank Nile Rodgers' producing style for that. And the steel drum just adds a really nice touch to the guitar lick. And also, Bowie is very much having fun with this song. He knows this is a cover he can play around with, and he gives it a more sultry tone in some spots. But I remember when I first heard the song, some of the lyrics are surprisingly dark. Like, the first time I heard the lyric visions of swastikas in my head as a kid, I thought, wait, what? Why are you twisting the night before Christmas like that? And, I listened to the lyrics like, I'll give you television, I'll give you eyes of blue. I'm like...
I'm just going to ruin you.
Yeah, ruin you, but like, ruin you for like one night stand ruin you, or ruin you like I'm going to westernize you?
Yeah, ruin you in the West. Yeah, that's what I've always thought.
Yeah, because like, I've thought that that's what it might be, but I didn't want to think I was overreaching with it if I said it out loud.
No, I don't think so.
So yeah, I still really like this song, and also for me, the music video for this is so iconic that it makes Bowie's singing even cuter in a way. And I had the whole music video playing through my head as I listened the whole time.
And I think also that when that music video came out, they would have to show it late at night because
of the scene with the beach.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember I first saw this as a kid. I was like, honestly, I'm surprised this hasn't been flagged for like showing nudity or anything. I don't know. All right, now here's my anecdotes about this song, China Girl. So, as we mentioned, he originally wrote and performed this song with the Iggy Pop for Iggy's album The Idiot. So, Rogers came up with the opening guitar lick of the da-da-da-da-da-da, and he thought for sure, Bowie's going to hate this, he's going to fire me, he's not going to like it at all. And so, to his relief, Bowie listened to it and went, that's fantastic. And Rogers went, well, if you think that's good, watch this! And he played the rest of the song. And so, for the music videos that were released from this album, Let's Dance and China Girl, Bowie wanted the music video to address racism by showing parodies of common stereotypes of Asian women. And the actress featured in the video, Jiling, I'm going to butcher your last name and I'm very, very sorry, I think it's Ning, had a brief affair with Bowie, and she actually reunited with him at one of his concerts in New Zealand where he was nothing but gracious to her, and it was like old friends just catching up.
Aww.
Yeah, so it makes that scene on the beach even more steamy when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost like, I don't think I should be watching this. Maybe we should leave them alone for a little bit. What do you think of this song?
Maybe this is sacrilege, but I kind of like Iggy's version better.
I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but I just want to know why.
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's because it's not as polished as the Let's Dance version. Yeah, the thing is, like, I have it on an Iggy Best of.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard it, I thought, oh, man, I just don't know, because I was so used to the Let's Dance one. But the more I heard it, the more I thought, yeah, I really like this. It's more believable from Iggy. I don't, because he's just so Iggy.
Maybe it's the thing where it's like, you can never top the first version, kind of. And I feel like if I heard Iggy's first, I probably would have felt that way too. But I heard Bowie's first, and that's what I'm used to.
Well, yeah, I mean, same thing here. I heard Bowie's first, and then I heard Iggy's second, and Iggy's just grew on me. I mean, I have no problem with Bowie's version, but I love Iggy's.
It's just personal preference.
Yeah.
All right, let's dance. So, who can listen to this and not dance? This is great party music. I knew the album version was a lot longer than the single version, because the album version clocks in at 7 minutes and 37 seconds.
Really? I didn't think it was that long. It never seemed that long.
It seems long to me, but I wasn't too irritated with how long it was, because the way I look at it is, if you want a version to sing along to, listen to the single. If you want a version to dance to at a party, play the original album version, because it definitely has more instrumentals that allow more time for you to dance.
Either that or a great song can never be too long, but a bad song can never be too short.
Okay. I think I see what you're getting at. The parts of this song that didn't work for me were the saxophone solos and the rocket sound effects, because for me they seem to really clash with the tone of the song and the other instruments. Those 2 minutes, in my opinion, definitely could have been cut out. But I love Bowie's voice in this. I think I was a little alarmed the first time I heard him scream the word flower for the second time. But I'm used to it by now, so I'm not as alarmed. I'm like, the first time I heard that, I was like, dude, are you okay? Calm down. And I also smile every time I hear him sing Under the Moonlight, the Serious Moonlight, because I know that, his follow-up tour was the Serious Moonlight Tour, and that is such a good tour name. However, Glass Spider was his best tour. That was a piece of art. I don't care what that book you made me read says. I've watched it on YouTube, and oh man, that tour is amazing. And I know you might find this sacrilegious, but maybe I like it a little better than Stop Making Sense. By a little bit. But, hey.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, with the Serious Moonlight Tour, I used to have a T-shirt with the Go-Go's on it, and theirs was the Serious Barbecue Tour. They played, I think, 6 or 7 barbecues in the southern United States, and that's what they called their tour.
I like that. So, some anecdotes about Let's Dance. So, the song was originally written by Bowie as a folk song. And Nile Rodgers convinced him, this is a song where people need to be, dancing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So when they were experimenting with how it should sound, Bowie and Rodgers somehow got their hands on a record of TV theme songs. And Rodgers decided to borrow the arrangement of the horns and the saxophones from the theme to the TV show Peter Gunn. Like, put on your red shoes, let's dance the blues, boo-ba, boo-ba. That was apparently borrowed from Peter Gunn. So Rodgers asked Bowie how he felt about borrowing the arrangement, and Bowie's reply was this: Niles, it's what we call postmodernistic reinterpretation. And I'm thinking, boy, I love you, but that is horseshit! The music video was filmed in Australia, along with the music video for China Girl. That may have been filmed in New Zealand, excuse me. So he wanted to address the issue of racism in this music video, as I mentioned before, and exploring the integration of cultures. So also, the red shoes that are mentioned in the song was a reference to the film The Red Shoes, where a ballerina finds a pair of red ballet slippers and is unable to stop dancing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Alright, so, Without You. So when I first heard the opening, I'm like,
wait, don't I get to say anything about Let's Dance?
Sorry, you didn't look like you wanted to say anymore. I'm sorry.
I like Let's Dance.
Okay.
I just like the way it starts off with the drums. They're getting louder and louder and building and building.
Like, oh my god!
And then it just kicks in. And I know there were 2 drummers on the album. One was Omar Hakim, and the other was Tony Thompson, who was the drummer for Chic.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I'd like to think that was his sound.
Probably. Mm-hmm. Never know. All right, Without You. Sorry for interrupting, Dad. So the first few seconds of this song, I thought, this kind of sounds like Let's Dance's little brother almost. And, the first time Bowie sang, he sounded a bit drunk because he was slurring his words, and I thought, oh,
he was drunk on love.
Yeah, I thought this is going to be weird. But this song completely took me by surprise. It's cute, short, sweet, and to the point. And also, damn, that falsetto. I've never heard David Bowie sing that high before, and it didn't sound like he was uncomfortable or like it was hurting his voice. It kind of sounded like he was floating above the music, and he was able to sustain the quality, and I just really, really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a pleasant song.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
Mm-hmm. Not much else to say?
I don't have much to say beyond that.
Yeah, short, sweet, and to the point. To quote Franklin, work a turkey or a fox in there, and I think you've got something.
Oh.
All right. So, Ricochet. The best adjective I could use to describe this song is dystopian. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
The song is so bizarre, I didn't think I was going to like it at first, but it grew on me. And I can't explain why I like it, but I think it's because of how experimental it is. I don't get why Bowie has portions that sound like they're emitting from a loudspeaker, or why he adopts a Scottish accent at one point, but this is a song where you're not turned off by it. If anything, for me, I want to figure it out. It's like, I get this song, but I don't, and this is very much the David Bowie that I am used to, experimental and forcing you to think. Now, I read online somewhere...
Oh, as opposed to the incomprehensible Bowie.
What Bowie would you call that?
This one.
Okay. I read somewhere online that this song may be referring to the dangers of capitalism and too much stuff hurting you in the end. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe he also could have been talking about something going on maybe with the Cold War. I don't really know. I wasn't alive at that time. I don't know what sort of historical context this song could be referring to.
I think you're pretty close to like the dystopian thing. It kind of has like a 1984-ishness about it.
Well, yeah, that's why I was surprised this wasn't on Diamond Dogs, because that was David Bowie's concept album for a 1984 musical. Yeah. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I can't remember. Yeah, well, about, was it turn the holy pitches so they face the wall?
Yeah, so they can't see what we're doing.
And then, like you said, there was something about a bullhorn. Like he has like a bullhorn effect with some of his vocals.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe because, like in the dystopia, it's like he's in a tank riding down the street and just blasting his message to all
Big Brother's
the
watching
citizens.
you.
Yeah. But I will go with your theory about what that's about because I've heard that song so many times and I'm just clueless.
Yeah. What are your theories? Let us know in the comments if you have any theories as to what Ricochet is about. Oh, the one anecdote that I didn't write down but I remembered was David Bowie said that Ricochet was his favorite song, but he thinks it's the one song on the album where Nile Rodgers wasn't able to get the beat quite right with how he wanted it to sound in his head. And I think you could kind of hear that with when they say Ricochet, like at what point in the song they choose to have that lyric come in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I wonder if he was looking for something beyond the 4/4 time.
Maybe, but maybe that's the only time he kind of really knows how to work with. I mean, most rock and roll artists only know 4/4 time because, hey, it's the easiest to count and the easiest to write.
That's the highest they can count.
I didn't mean that, Dad.
Oh, I did.
Oh, okay. Wow. Sorry if we've alienated everyone. That makes me think of a funny anecdote where, like, Jeff Lynne made a joke about George Harrison. Like, when they were rehearsing for concert for George, Jeff Lynne said, I write all my songs in 4/4 time because I'm too lazy to count. But George writes his songs in 1754 time, so I'm always counting in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 1754 time doesn't exist. All right. Criminal World. Now, this is the first David Bowie song I ever remember hearing after David Bowie died. I was curious about him, as I said before, and why so many people were fascinated with him. So I asked Dad, hey, Dad, what's your favorite David Bowie song? And this was the one you put on, and it's stuck with me ever since.
I did?
Yes, you did.
I've probably changed my mind since then.
So what is your favorite Bowie song now? He's sweating.
Let's see. Currently now?
Yep.
Well, I'm in the middle of listening to that singles compilation, and I really like that song "Be My Wife."
Haven't heard that one yet.
Well, you've got to listen to the whole compilation.
Touche. All right, so for Criminal World, the flutes are probably my favorite part. They take me by surprise every time, and I love their sound. It feels like they're tickling me. I don't really have... Well, yeah, because it's like they play very fast and very quietly, and it feels very playful. I don't really have too much to say about this song, except I feel like I understand it more and more the more and more I play it. You got any notes about this song?
Yeah, I have no idea what it's about, but it's a catchy song.
Yeah. So, anecdotes. Oh boy, I found some weird ones for this one. This song was banned from BBC Radio 1 for suggestive content. Yeah, I don't know, maybe the suggestive content about murder or the whole part, you caught me kneeling at your sister's door, that was no ordinary stick-up. Ooh, promiscuity, it's coming to kill ya. And there's also a rumor... What? What?
That's just funny.
And there's also a rumor, this is a really weird rumor, that the U.S. military played this song as quote-unquote oral encouragement to displace General Manuel Noriega when the U.S. invaded Panama in 1989.
Oh, like one of those songs that they figured would drive people nuts?
Not so much those songs, not like a Guantanamo Bay song, but one of those songs that would motivate the troops in action, like, damn it, we're gonna invade Panama!
And damn it, everyone just wound up dancing instead.
Probably. Backfired. Alright. Cat people set things on fire. Putting out fire. Cat people putting out fire. Sorry. Now, the only thing I knew about this song before was that it was, Iggy did this song too, right?
No.
Oh, he didn't? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Bowie did this first for the movie Cat People.
Yeah, that was what he did it first for. Yep, sorry. So, I want to know, where the hell does this title... That answers my question, actually. Where the hell did this title come from? Because he says putting out fire a frickin' line. He doesn't mention Cat People once, but if it's the title of the film, then that explains the title. So I don't know if I like the song or not. I'm just very confused. The first few seconds of Bowie's low voice kind of creeped me out, and I don't know why, but I thought of Dennis Reynolds from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia because it gave me a big stalker vibe. And maybe it's also because I finished reading You by Caroline Kepnes, I think is how you say her last name, which is about a stalker. So yeah, this song is very frantic, and I don't think I hate it, but I don't like it either. What do you think of Cat People?
It's probably my favorite song on the album.
Really?
Yes.
All right, please explain this to me.
Well, the thing is, like, this was the version that I always heard, and I did see the movie Cat People, but the original version never stuck with me.
Okay.
But when I got the singles 69 and 93, they put on the original from the movie, which was produced by Giorgio Moroder, who was known more as a disco producer, especially working with Donna Summer.
Okay.
And it's completely different. I mean, when you mentioned Bowie's low voice starting it off,
yeah, I'm like, ooh.
this lasts a lot longer in the original version. The original version is also kind of a little more slower. I mean, even when it kicks in to start rocking, it's a slow rocking song. And I think his remake with Nile Rodgers is just a lot better, especially with Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitar work. It's just great. And I think the whole thing about the lyrics, I'm assuming it's coming from
the movie?
The point of view of, hey, I can change it to a cat. This is what I'm seeing.
Oh, that's what the movie was about?
Yeah.
Oh.
This brother and sister. Like, the original Cat People came out in, I want to say it was I know it was in the 1940s. Could have been like maybe 42, 43. And I've seen the original Cat People. Like it a lot better than the 80s version. And even better than Cat People is The Return.
Heard of that one.
And that one's really, really well done.
Is that the same premise or totally different?
You know, with the original ones in the 40s, it was a woman who thought she was a cat. She never physically transformed. It was definitely more psychological, but it was a really intense movie. And
so, like, if Maureen Ponderosa was, like, the subject of a drama?
Well, no, Maureen had herself surgically altered. But, yeah, the original version and the sequel are just two extremely well done movies. But
okay.
yeah, I just love the remake a lot more than the original version. But the thing is, it's like even with the original version, the more I hear it, the more I like it. But I don't like flat out love it. I can appreciate it.
Okay, I can get that. Yeah, maybe we'll have to review those films for our film podcast at some point. Who knows? All right, so the last song, and you know, I was surprised that this album was only 8 songs. Maybe that's just how many you felt like you wanted to write, and that was it. So, the last song, Shake It. Again, the beginning very much feels like a callback to Let's Dance. I also was not expecting the backup singers, and that's when I think you can definitely tell that Nile Rodgers produced this. I don't really know what to make of this song either. It's not bad, but I'm not over the moon with it. I can see why people sing along to the chorus, but that's about it. It's okay. It's
kind of a filler song, and I think it's also a pretty good song to close out the album, I suppose. Yeah, 8 songs. Yeah, it is 8 songs, but you figure, I mean, you said Let's Dance was over 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was back in my day, it was on a record, and we only had 4 songs per side. But I think the other reason why it's only 8 songs is because like a few of them end with just like a lot of soloing at the end.
Yeah, they do, and then it fades out at the end.
Yeah, because maybe they weren't really sure how to end it. How to end them. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So, any other feelings on Shake It, or?
No, not really. I was going to say, like, you know, after this came the sort of sequel, which was Tonight, which was okay. It had like 3 or 4 good songs. And then after that was Never Let Me Down, which you did, Dave. You did.
See, I haven't listened to the full album yet, but I love the song Glass Spider because I had to do the monologue for that for my acting class. Yeah, we one of my acting assignments was pick a monologue where you definitely have to do an accent. And you know, I heard this song because I was browsing the internet and I came across the Glass Spider tour online, and I thought, oh, I am definitely doing this, and I did it in class, and some of my friends were like, that's a hell of a monologue. I'm like, I know, right? It's so cool. But yeah, haven't listened to that, so I can't really judge that album yet.
Well, I think that's kind of maybe another trilogy. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know if Nile Rodgers produced Tonight and if he produced Never Let Me Down.
I'm not
I
sure.
don't think so, but to me that always kind of had like a trilogy feel because it seemed like after that he did what was it? He didn't come out with an album until 6 years later. I think it was that Black and White. I can't remember the title.
Oh, yeah. Well, he probably wanted a bit of a break.
But yeah, and I think after that though he kind of decided, okay, I did the commercial thing, did really well with that. Now I'm just going to do whatever I want for the rest of
David Bowie.
Right, for the rest of my days. And that's pretty much what he did. Like, he was one of those guys who would just put out albums and it was, oh yeah, that's Bowie. Yeah, he's putting out these albums.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'm going to listen to it, but if he tours, I'm definitely going to go see him.
Did you ever see him on tour?
Never got to see him.
Darn it. That reminded me of something that I forgot to mention earlier when I was listing off all my Bowie facts. It was like when social media started to kick off into the stratosphere, David Bowie was someone who very much was not participating in it at all. And people think that's what contributed to his success because he wasn't a constant social media presence, so people were always wondering, what's he going to do next? Why has he been so quiet? Why is he hiding? And then when he finally did release an album, it was even bigger than it would have been because there was no build-up. It came out of nowhere. And so, of course, it would sell really well. Now, I find that funny because David Bowie created his own internet provider for a little while. I think it was davidbowie.com or something like that. But I remember he said in an interview, sometimes he would enter chat rooms and he would say to the people participating, hello, I'm David Bowie. And they'd all be like, no, you're not. And he loved it. He thought it was great. All right, so.
Now, did he also sell shares of himself as a business entity?
Define shares like stock or
Yeah, like stock.
He might have. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I don't know too much about that.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right, so do you have any final thoughts on Let's Dance?
Yeah, I think pretty solid album. Some of it's a little, some of it I can check out on while I'm listening, which would probably be Ricochet and maybe Sorry. And maybe she gets I like it, but,
I
don't.
I would check out on it too.
I don't, out and out love it. And yeah, like I said, that was the first Bowie record I ever bought, and
nice. Do you have the original vinyl of it?
I don't know. I think I still might. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I might.
I think you maybe, because when we did that meeting at the library, I think Ben had you bring your original vinyl of Let's Dance.
Okay.
I think you had to bring it with you. All right, so to me, this album feels, to paraphrase my friend and other podcast co-host Nate, this album feels comfortably 80s.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell it was made in the 1980s, but it doesn't feel too nostalgic, or it doesn't feel too reminiscent of some parts of the 80s people wish just went away.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, plus the other thing is, if you look in the booklet that I've got, I've got the Virgin reissue, and
From 1999?
yeah, and you look at a lot of the photographs, and he's definitely got the 80s wardrobe going on.
The hair,
he's definitely got the new wave.
Shoulder pads.
Yep, the new wave Brit 80s, one-hit wonder kind of look.
But he wasn't a one-hit wonder.
No, he definitely was not.
So I would definitely recommend that people listen to this album because it's one of Bowie's real crowning achievements, and damn it, we owe it to the man to listen. So this is also, I think, a great album to put on for a big party in the summer. So whether or not I'll download the full album, I haven't decided yet. It's right after I was done listening to this, I already had 3 songs on Spotify. I added 2 more, so that's 63% of the album, which isn't too bad. But I'm very conflicted about downloading the whole thing, because if I do, then I know I'll just skip over the other 3. But on the other hand, it's if I've already downloaded over half of the album, then why not go whole hog and download the whole thing?
Yeah, well, if you're not going to listen to those songs, then,
Then what's the point?
What's the point?
Yeah, so it's I'm very, very conflicted. So, haven't decided yet. It's probably going to stay at only having 5 of the 8 songs downloaded for a while. But if it makes Bowie feel any better, I have the entire Ziggy Stardust album on Spotify. So, there you go.
Okay, the one thing I want to talk about
The cover?
Is the cover.
Yes.
With him as a boxer. And I'm
Okay.
thinking, is this like, Let's Dance, like, dancing in the ring? Like, hey, we're going to go a few rounds here, huh?
Well, the thing that throws it off for me, though, is how they designed the words "Let's Dance," because they look like they're parodying some of, like, the cutouts you see of ballroom dance for where to place your feet.
Yeah.
So I think if you just had that, I would get it instantly. But with the boxing, that throws it off for me. And also, it's like the lighting in the background. I can't tell.
Well, plus the way that they have the word Bowie, the shape and the font that's used. That's the Everlast brand, which is a big boxing company.
Oh,
they do
okay.
they make the boxing trunks and probably the gloves, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I always thought, well, maybe Let's Dance has another meaning of like I said, the old boxing ring. You got these two guys in the ring who are kind of like, almost in a way, dancing around each other before they, are going to beat the crap out of each other.
Now, before you said that this was what they did with the
Everlast.
last name, yeah, I thought that was like a bow tie.
Well, that would be bow tie, not Bowie. Just one letter off.
That may be like the closest thing to a dad joke you have ever done on this show so far.
Thank you, I guess.
You're welcome. Should we talk about the back or no?
It's just the boxing thing.
Okay.
Well, but notice he's got the fancy footwork at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, true. I don't know. The cover was something I didn't really do too much research on, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. All right, so that concludes our latest episode of My Dad Listens to This. Thank you for listening. As always, like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to our channel for more future videos and tap the bell to get more notifications. We will be back next week with another rock album to nitpick and gripe about. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.